One. Hello, everyone. My name is Chartheos, and today I'm joined by Mr. Shauna Wade. Say hello.
Hello there.
Oh my God, your your voice got so deep in there. All right. Anyways, so this is the interviews that I've been doing. So just like the ones before, my first question is gonna ask you is what do you think our topic is going to be about?
Well, my time in the Mexican cartel, perhaps.
Hmm. Yes, you're very close.
Hmm.
No, actually, it's not about your time in the Mexican cartel, but it's two main questions. You're gonna answer each one, and within each one is gonna be like general ones, like I've said before. So the first question is going to be, where do you believe that you became independent? And that could mean anything. That could mean when you started living on your own, when you started thinking that you had to do things on your own, whatever that means for you.
I think like I don't know. I had moments of like in high school, like certain things would happen and I'd react a certain way and my mom would be like, "Oh, it's strangely mature for somebody your age." So
Like what?
like ever like there was a girl I liked, right? And I knew she didn't like me back. So I made the mature decision to step back and just not interact anymore and let it go.
Oh
And
my God.
and for some reason I told my mom all about it. And she was just like, "Well, that's pretty respectable that you could just let that go." I was like, "Yeah, well,
Okay.
you know."
All right.
'Cause I was crushing on her for like a long time. But I always knew like she had no interest. So
Okay.
I was like, forget about it.
Do you think when
So
you started college that changed, or do you feel like that's that's still the same? Like you know
uh
when to base a decision based off what other
well,
people's interactions are.
college I probably took a step back because I thought that everybody needs to be like crazy and try and get like all of their like wild crap out of the way. So I was actively trying to be like
Crazy?
stupid.
Okay.
Like I was trying to make mistakes all the time. But
Okay.
I mean I went to two different colleges. Well, actually I went to three. I went to Miami-Dade in Florida, Broward in Florida, and then City Tech. Well, not in that order. It was actually Broward first, Miami-Dade second, and then City Tech.
Oh,
By the time I
wow.
got to City Tech, I grew up a bit.
That's crazy.
So yeah.
And
It's
within these three schools, you were still studying art?
well, I started out with architecture. Um,
What? Are you serious?
yeah. I wanted to be like my dad because he was a draftsman
Oh, okay.
when he was a kid. When he was a kid, when he was my age, he was a draftsman. Um, but yeah, I thought I could do exactly what he did, and it would be like easy. So I moved to Florida and lived with him. Uh, and then like after the first semester, I was like, I'm never gonna have any friends, and I'm never gonna have any fun if I do this. Like it's gonna be all my time. Like I
Yeah.
don't I don't think I could manage. Like I need life. Like I need to have fun. So I was
Okay.
like, what's like I'm really good with AutoCAD. What's similar to architecture? Oh, there's this graphic design thing. All right, people use Illustrator. All right, let me try that. I mean,
Oh, wow.
it wasn't that quick, but it was,
Yeah, it was a process, but you came up with
yeah.
it in a way that it's still related to what you were learning, in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, I tried engineering at first too, but then I was like, there's so many different branches of engineering. Like, I'm not really drawn towards any one of them. So I was like, okay,
Yeah, I mean,
let's
even in
step
City
back.
Tech, there were people who like. By the way, I also went to City Tech for whoever's listening and doesn't know. Um, but
Hey.
Yeah, but even in City Tech, there were people who were like still debating whether or not they even wanted to do graphic design, if they even wanted to be artists, like drawers, like comic artists, or just, real life
Yeah.
paintings and stuff like that. And some of them were debating whether they should go towards architecture or even go towards engineering, which I found, I don't know, weird, I guess, because usually when you're an architect, you want to do something art related, not the other way around, you know? Well, from my experience. That
Yeah.
plus, where did engineering come in? Like, what? How did that happen? Like,
I mean, you'd think architecture and engineering like are kind of similar. You need to like you're basically, conceptualizing something, right? Drawing the plans, and
yeah,
then you're putting into motion, creating the thing, the whether it's a building, a house, or it's a device or or a system that you're putting into place.
yeah.
So I was like, those things are similar, but it took me a while longer to get to like the graphic design, like being the thing that I'm actually good at.
Got you. But okay, so I guess my main question, like when I ask you about the independent thing, all
Yeah.
that stuff happened. Well, for me, anyways, it kind of happens without you even realizing. You just have to like start picking things up and start doing things like they start becoming second nature. So even things like going home and making yourself food, doing your laundry, getting your homework ready for, for the next class for and in college or your university or whatever. Those things start to become natural, but you don't really think about that when you're in high school or even middle school if you're in middle school right now. You,
Although I think I respect my mom a lot because she, at a certain point, made me clean and made me do my own laundry. So that started to give me the idea of like, okay, this is work to maintain and take care of yourself.
yeah, of course.
So like, I mean, she worked. So like she wasn't home 90% of the time. And me and my brother would just like kind of figure out what we had in the house, what we could and could not make or heat up or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, she tried to teach me how to cook. I was a failure. So- but laundry I could do. Laundry and cleaning are like my things, which is funny now because that's what I try and bring to the table in the relationship I'm in now, because I can't cook. So I'm trying to be like, all right, well, I'll take care of all the cleaning, I swear. I'll, I'll take the litter out. I'll wash the dishes, you know.
No, yeah, that makes sense. Everybody contributes in their own way because everybody learns differently and learns different things. Like for me, for example, I feel like a lot of the stuff I know now, whether it's job related, personal related, whatever, I think I learned most of it on my own. The few things I did learn from, I guess, my parents. From my dad, I learned math. I learned a lot of stuff about math when it comes to my dad, and just being able to work regardless of what my job is. Just work. He was like constantly putting that in my head, where like, look, no matter what you do or what you decide to do, you gotta work, and you gotta do this and that because you need to be able to support yourself and your family if you end up having one, and blah blah blah. So I was like, that comes from my dad. From my mom, it's like it's more of don't be afraid to like try new things, but at the same time remember what you're capable of, if that makes any sense. You
Well,
know?
yeah, that makes a lot of sense for you.
Yeah, because for me it was like a lot of the things, like even cooking, like I might have picked up some things from her, but that's because of me observing. That if my parents were never usually home either, like when they did get home, they would be way too tired, and if we ate food once they got home, they would like knock out. So me and
Right.
my brothers and sisters would literally be in the house by ourselves, and we they would tell us like, you guys need to go to sleep, around 10, and we would do it. Like that was like a little sign of already trying to be independent on our own, like making sure we go to sleep on time just so we can go to school on time in the next morning. And sometimes if there was no food, like either my sister would have to make something or we would literally just find whatever was there and just eat it. There were
So,
times
I
where
mean,
I would watch like cooking shows and I would
mm,
eat rice with ketchup. Not even a joke. It was just rice and ketchup. Looking at these people make amazing food, and I'm here with this crap.
Yo, the first time I had banana and peanut butter on a sandwich,
What?
I used sometimes I would make like honey sandwiches, like just cheese sandwiches, like whatever, like we could like scrape together to make. But like, dude, banana and peanut butter, sleeper hit,
Oh my, yeah, but you see,
and
like the
nutritious.
yeah, you see, depending on like how you grow up with like different kinds of comfort food, and that
Yeah,
stuff is like reminiscing. Even if it's not good, it was good to us then. Even if whatever that might be, because there's people who eat like weird, like me, and with rice and ketchup. I think that's weird, but for me,
yeah,
it was like, oh, so good. You
yeah.
know?
The first time, I mean this is a little bit past like being an actual child, but one of the first times I ever made eggs, we did mayo and ketchup, a little I think it's like Russian dressing or whatever. When you mix the two together and get this pink sauce, and it's
Hmm.
both like ketchup and mayo. And oh my God. I thought I was a master chef, but then when I put that together, I was like, yo, I'm
Perfect.
amazing.
Beautiful.
I cooked for all my friends. They
Oh,
ate it.
oh
Didn't
my God.
complain. Things are
Of
different
course.
now.
No, but you see, like, without us, well, for me, without us realizing, sometimes we do things that kind of prepared us, not fully, but gave us an idea of what it meant to like do things on our own and do things here and there. And I think a lot of us now, well, a lot of kids now don't really have that because everything's pretty much given to them in a sense. I mean, I could be wrong, but from what I see, a lot of kids just get everything they possibly need.
That's why, I think you see a lot of rich kids turn out to be like, a little off. I think there's something to be said about like families that go through struggles together and have to like, work hard and like
Yeah.
take care of themselves and figure things out. Like I think all of that stuff breeds like a good, strong character. So as opposed to you have a nanny taking care of the kid and, everything they ever want is given to them, like, it's not
Yeah.
it's not it's not as like conducive to like making somebody prepared for adulthood.
Yeah, and I mean, and don't get me wrong, like there's some people that regardless if they're rich, poor, whatever, you know, it's the mentality of that child. Sometimes the child like gets this thought in their head that should have never been implemented into their head, but they got it because of the things they see, the things they experience, how they start to feel about it. Maybe they can't even express how they feel about it, or maybe when they do, they get neglected, stuff like that. And when I do my teaching thing, sometimes I see that in certain kids, like they can't even interact with other kids because they think it's either wrong or something. And
Right.
a lot of that comes from like poverty, where they don't have much back at home, so they think they don't have the right to do certain things or say certain things, and that kind of sucks. But yeah, like it's not like we were rich. We were fucking poor as fuck. That's why my parents were always working all the time.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure bills were being
And
paid, food was on the table.
it's amazing. Do you see how much like they sacrifice for you?
Yeah.
Like like now I see like my mom was breaking her back trying to like support me and my brother. And like we're kids, we don't know.
Yeah, we
We
don't know
get we were
shit.
we were angry at her like a lot of times because she was making us do things like
Yeah.
that like we felt we didn't need to do. Like, oh, why do we need to keep our room clean? Why do we need to like, make sure that we do the laundry
Yeah.
and like why?
Wait,
But
yeah. And you
it makes
saying
sense.
that actually leads me to the second main question here of today, which is basically what do you see your future as now? Because I'm pretty sure when we first started, let's say when we first started college, it wasn't the same thought process that you have now. Maybe your future holds something different for you now. So what does that look like to you now?
I mean, I I see my future kind of like a slow progression of where I'm at now. Like I think where I'm at now, I'm good. Like financially, I'm good. Relationship, good. Like everything is like fine. I want to only go up from here and like slowly grow. Like I'm trying new things alongside of like my regular work. So, it's just a slow growth. I see myself like very soon moving out into a new place that I own,
Yeah.
and then like hopefully, starting a family and stuff like that. So, you know, stability is the really the goal. Like
Yeah, for
right now I'm
sure.
steady, but you want stability. You want to be sure that no matter what, I have a place to live, I can feed myself, and I can take care of other people around me if they need to be taken care of. Like that's
Yeah.
ultimately what you want.
Yeah, you
So,
don't want to feel like you're struggling just to
yeah.
get by.
Yeah, which honestly, looking at home shopping and all that, I observed the monthly costs, and if I didn't have somebody that I was moving in with, I would be struggling. But but I'll be all right. I'll be all right. I could just barely afford the thing on my own, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
you
We'll
see,
see.
in moments like this, it's like
Yeah.
you have to start thinking about what you do as work, or as a
Yeah.
career or whatever, and how to move up from there because from that point you kind of have to figure out, finances.
Yeah.
So,
Which is, I mean, it's interesting because there's decisions that I could make that would ruin me right now. That was just like I could choose, I could try and pay something off, or I can try
yeah,
and put money into something, and it could not come back, or it could stop me from being able to move out. So, if I make a wrong step, it's kind of like,
yeah, I get. It's like you're kind of like on the edge of the cliff right now.
yeah, I'm blessed though because I have the ability to mess up and still be okay. Like if I mess up and spend all my money, right, and I can't get it back, I just stay here for longer. I'll stay. I pay where I'm at now. I pay what is essentially rent.
Yeah,
Um, my mother owns the place, but um, I know that no matter what, I could stay here. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't have a place that they could go back to no matter what. So, I'm thankful for what I do have right now. Like,
gotcha.
you know, a lot of people would just probably stay in my situation, but
No, yeah, I mean it makes sense. I
I,
mean, at the very least, even if something were to go like bad, you have something to follow up on, and get yourself back up.
yeah. I mean, in these times, that's a blessing. Really, at any time. I mean, there was rough times in the 90s.
No,
There's
for
rough
sure.
times in the early 2000s. Like, there's
We're
all,
we're in rough time right now.
yeah, we're having a real rough time at the moment. But like,
Yeah.
um, I'm a painfully like strong optimist. Like I really just feel like everything's going to turn around and everything is going to like stabilize somehow.
Yeah. No, I think the same way too sometimes. I think somebody in the counselor that I had who was like in charge of like our classes sometimes and making sure this and that was going on in City Tech because I was part of a program called Seek.
Right.
So we always had to go to like a meeting every month if you were part of that program. And this guy would always tell me like, you always have this attitude like things are gonna be fine even if you have nothing to do with it. Like things are just gonna turn around and look up again. And I'm like, I don't know how I got that. I feel like I'm more pessimistic if anything. But he's like, no, there's something in you that allows you to get through that. And I was like, all right, well, I'm glad you have faith.
Yeah.
But
No, sometimes it's hard, and I could see how it's hard for people. Like
no,
people
yeah, for
around
sure.
me sometimes are like, I don't see how things could get better, and I'm like, things could only get better in my opinion. Like, there might be a dip. There might be a time where it's a little bit more uncertain,
Yeah, I mean
but
there
it's
are
eventually going to get better.
there are people who think that way too, just because a lot of the time it doesn't feel like it is, and they're so. And in some cases that might be true, and that might just be like life is like very difficult, or it's just very unlucky to those people. But there are a few who they don't see that change, and they're very ungrateful.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, there was a time when I was in Florida where I was literally like pawning stuff to eat,
Yeah,
you know? Like ever since that time, I mean, I'm glad I had those experiences because like at that time, if there were homeless people and I would give them money. Like I would give them money on the street because I was like, yo, I'm right there with you. And I'm just barely like not. If I
yeah.
didn't have my family, like, you know, I could have been in your shoes. So I was really like understanding at that time.
Some guy
So
I used to work with back in the when was it 2011 when I got like almost my first job kind of. I forget the year, but I was working and this guy was like talking to me. He was like sharing his, his sixth day, what happened during his day and blah blah blah. And then he mentioned that I think what was keeping him going was the fact that he just had a job. Because before the job, he didn't have shit. And he was saying that he was pretty much about to be homeless and
yeah,
literally be on the street begging to get a job now. And at that point, he probably wouldn't be able to because he probably wouldn't have a shower. He was saying that he wouldn't even be able to feed himself. He would just not present himself properly at an interview.
right.
And what saved him was that he got this job, and at the time I was working at Macy's. So he got this job at Macy's, and he was like, oh, this is what's keeping me going. Is that I can only go up from here. And it was
Yeah.
kind of like, at the time I was like what 19 or something, and this man was like 30 something probably, and he was like, he didn't give a shit about most of the stuff we care about. Like, oh, we need to go to school and have this huge career, and we need to do this, and we need to travel. He was just happy that he could go home and eat. You know, you know, like,
Yeah. I think that's so important. I think more people need to like have that kind of attitude. Like,
yeah, that man was so grateful just having that job. It was like, I don't know, it was eye opening for me at that point.
yeah. I mean, it's good kind of to not have to go through that because like, desperation is not a pretty thing
Hell no.
to be a part of or be in. But I could tell you that like I learned the most from that period of time, like more than like my years at City Tech. Like I learned
Yeah, I mean,
like how to survive.
I think you're right when it comes to that because I think sometimes, honestly, nowadays, school, even if it's like important, depending on your career path, you literally have the internet. You can literally learn anything you want off of the internet, whether it's Google,
Yeah.
YouTube, whatever the fuck it is. You have power in your fingertips, and people just don't use it, and it could be many reasons. But I feel like the main reason is because there's so much knowledge, it becomes kind of like a fog. Like there's so much happening now that you don't even know which one you want to do because there's so much you can learn. Whereas back then you had to just stick to maybe one or two things and then that was it,
Right.
you know? But I mean, I don't know. That's just how
I,
I see it sometimes.
I mean, I sometimes I think back like if you took us all, like me, you, like our whole friend group, if you sent us back like 20 years, right? And we had to come up in the time that like our parents came up or whatever, would we be better off or worse off?
I
I don't
think me
know.
personally, I don't know if it's better or worse, but I think I would end up have being the person that all they do is work and then come home. That's it.
Mm.
And and it's not because Maybe it's because I'm not confident in myself or my abilities. I don't know. But I think it's just mainly because in my mindset, I'm always thinking I just need to be able to provide. That's it. I'm
Right.
not thinking about a title or label or wanting to be something. I'm more like, so long as the people around me are okay, then I'm good. Maybe they will
Yeah.
become something, and maybe I had a part of that, and that's fine with me. I'll die happy with that.
I mean, to be fair, like I think there's maybe more importance put on school in our generation than back then. Because like back then you could get by,
No,
like
yeah, but
you could
that's
get
why
by.
there's so much emphasis on it, where it
Yeah,
was like school is so important because if I had school, I would have done this, this, and that, and whatever. But
yeah,
now, it's still again, it's still important, but maybe college might not be for you, depending on
right.
what you're doing. And maybe you're just doing it for the experience, and that's good too, whatever. But like again, we have the internet now, and then that's such a huge. That's why I'm saying like 20 years from now, what are we gonna be telling our kids? Like, oh, you should have learned these YouTube skills, like, like like what's gonna be the thing then?
Yo, something that stuck with me like a long time ago was that somebody said that most jobs that people fall into did not exist when they were born. And that is so true for me and probably like our whole friend group.
That's
Like
yeah, I
like
guess so.
every YouTube web design, web production type thing doesn't exist when we were born. Like
Yeah, and the main thing for kids now is like anything social media based. They want to do that. Whether
yeah.
it's social like Instagram, YouTube,
But it
TikTok,
might,
whatever the fuck.
that might not be their thing.
Yeah,
They might end up being
they might
a
cure cancer,
landscaper.
and we don't even know.
Like, yeah, you don't know what people could be.
Yeah.
Um, like I didn't know when I was trying to be a graphic designer that I was gonna end up loving web design too,
Yeah.
and then like adding that to my skill set. Like
When I went
I,
in for graphic, or when I went in for art, which was my main thought, was like I'm going in for art. I'm not going in for graphic design. And then City Tech was like, no, you're gonna be a graphic designer. So I was like, all right, well, you guys suck. And it wasn't until like maybe second, third year of me doing this that I was like actually starting to get into it. And then a year after I've graduated, it was like, oh, I'm bored of it already. Like it wasn't like a definite thing, like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And even then, sometimes you get bored of what you're doing for the rest of your life.
I
You
mean, I
know?
personally think you'll always be able to dip a toe into animation and art,
Yeah,
but
if I wanted to, but
like yeah, professionally, I think from a from a soul perspective, from like a like your the core of your being, I think you really wanted to help people. So I think that's why you ended up where you ended up.
yeah, that's true
Like
too. I think that
animation was a skill.
yeah, it was. And for me, it's like I get it. I like learning new things because I like to learn new skills or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think you're right. It was mainly that. It was just wanting to make a difference or a change in others in some way, whether, big or small, so long as it was positive. And
Right.
I think I kind of had that in the past few years, so it's not too bad. Because when we were in City Tech and we were doing the internship thing, I think that's when it kind of hit me more. When I was like, all right, and this might not be what I want to do, but I'm going towards the right direction in this sense, you know.
Yeah.
But but yeah.
It's
Anyways.
it's so crazy. we, we were so different back then. Like the
Yeah.
fact that like me and the gang didn't like really like pay attention to you and noticed like that you were like so talented until that moment at the end of the program.
I know. That's when everybody was like, "How are you?"
We all got so much respect for you like right then. But like it really should have been there all along. We just didn't see it.
And the funny thing is, the people that I used to talk to back then, during that, like the people I really hanged out with and talked to and whatever, I don't even talk to them or hang out with them anymore, which is crazy because it's the same thing like in high school. In high school, you talk to these people, but the minute you go into college, you probably don't even see those faces anymore. and it's like, what the fuck?
I'm glad I have some friends that I've kept since elementary, but like I don't even get to see those people anymore. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
I only
You
have
always,
one friend from middle school, and that
yeah. How
was
many how many times did you ever say best friends for life? And it
not a
never
single time.
happened.
Not a
Oh,
single time.
really?
I
I
never
had
once considered anyone a best friend, and when I did, it was me saying that they were a close friend.
I had like three, I think. Most of them
Yeah.
earlier on, of course. Like
Jesus Christ.
first grade, I still got my best friend,
Oh my
but
God.
but
But yeah,
yeah, a lot of others drop off.
yeah, I mean that happens. I think whenever we go into a new stage in our lives, with school,
Yeah,
whatever, job, career, love life, marriage, all that shit.
love
But
life's a big one.
yeah, I'm scared. Um, but anyways, that being said, uh, I think we're gonna end it there. We pretty much, well, I think we answered what I wanted to answer in this. So, you have any final words here for the folks before we sign off?
I didn't know we got so deep,
Oh
but
yeah, this happens.
I'm
You don't realize.
I'm glad for it. I don't always show my more like intellectual side, but
Oh my, shut up.
I just want
Whatever.
to have fun,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, me too. Whatever. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening in. And we will see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.